Just tell me last lecture where we stopped. Did we do any numericals or we just completed with Newton's second law? Any numericals we did based on it? Okay, how many numericals? Acha, we did 4 numericals. Okay. So 2 more are there. So we can have a revision also based on that. And then once the 2 numericals are done, then we can just move forward to the next section of the chapter. So if we have a small revision on that, so first law was related to law of inertia, something. Then we had Newton's second law, which was relating your force to rate of change of momentum, and certain questions which we did. So I think so. This 4 examples we completed. So I'm just posting 2 more questions. We can solve them. Will be a small revision also on whatever part we completed. Then we can move ahead. So here's the next question. Example 5. So anyone got the answer? Vinayak, just try to rejoin if you're not able to. No, Vedant. Yeah, sorry, Vedant. It's correct. Yes, Soham and Surya, it's correct. Give me the decimal form. Yes, Aditya, it's correct. No, Minoti. Yes, Viraj, it's correct. No, Mayuresh. No, Aryan. No, Dhruv. I think so, yes, Dhruv. Yeah, Ishan and Arana, it's correct. Soham. Soham. Okay, not a problem. Surya,
Yes, sir.
yeah, explain me.
Sir, so for the access, so first to find force we know mass. So to find force we need acceleration. So to
Okay,
find acceleration, so we know initial velocity is 100 meters per second, final velocity is 0, and the displacement is 6. So we use third equation of motion,
okay,
kinematic equation. So then we, after solving it, we get A equals 5 lakh by 6. So 5 lakh by 6, this meters per second square. And
how much
then we
acceleration you
multiply.
got?
Come again, sir?
how much acceleration you said?
5 lakh by 6.
Okay.
And then we multiply that by the mass, which
Mhm.
is 5 grams, so 0.005 kilograms,
Okay.
which gives us the final of about 416.67 newtons of force
Okay. Means
after
it is
dividing.
something you get it as
Yes, sir.
25.
1,250 by 3.
Okay. Okay. This is actually 0.005, correct? Mass.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this becomes 5 into 10 to the power 5 by 6. What you said, correct? Means
Yes, sir.
finally we get 2500 divided by 6.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes, it's correct. So that will give you the answer as 416.7 approximate. That is the final answer. So using the third motion equation, you can calculate the value of acceleration, and then using the basic formula of force, that is force is mass into acceleration, you can get the value of force. Yes, Bhupen.
Sir,
Tell
sir,
me.
but we have to find out the acceleration, no?
Hmm.
In example 1.
With example 1.
Sir, that above example 1.
No, we are doing example 5.
Oh, 5.
Hmm.
Okay, sir.
Example 1 to 4 are already done in the last class.
Yes.
Yeah, Mayuresh.
So, but I'm getting the 5,000 upon 6.
How much?
5,000 upon 6.
5,000 upon 6. No, you will get 5,000 by 12. You should get 5,000 by 12.
No, so 5,000 upon 6. I'm getting 5,000 by 6.
But how we are getting 5,000 by 6? Because in terms of 5,000, if we keep.
So, so if we will apply the formula v square equals to u square plus 2s,
Mhm.
so v equals to 0. Acha, 100 na? Okay, square. Oh, yeah, I got it.
Because when you calculate the acceleration, now you will get something like this: 10 to the power 6 by 12. Actually, you get in this form.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
When you multiply, you get 5,000 by
Actually,
12, which is.
I didn't square the initial velocity.
Okay, that's why you were just getting different. Okay, not a problem. Okay, so the main important point is to convert them to SI unit. Only then you apply the formula, or else it will create a lot of confusion calculating the final answer. E is calculated using the third motion equation. Anirudh, I will just write the formula if you need. It was nothing but v square equal to u square plus 2as. Yeah, force will be negative, but it's okay. They are asking us the average force. And the answer, if it is negative, you take the negative value because it is retarding. They're asking us the average force imposed by the bullet on the block. Yeah, Ryan.
Sir, it would be positive only, right? Because in acceleration would be negative because it's a retarding like it
Yeah,
would
yeah,
retard.
yeah,
So
that only
force
I
will be
said.
positive only.
Yeah, because it is asking force imposed by the bullet on the block, so it will be positive
So in
only.
the options, if they give a negative option, we shouldn't select that, right?
But they won't
For
give
the
you the same
force.
answers. Yeah, they won't
Oh,
give you same answers with plus and minus.
okay, sir.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, sir.
yeah. Yatharth, it will be 5 into 10 to the power minus 3. Yatharth. Yeah, Bhupen, tell me.
Sir, but how the V is equal to 0?
It is stopping, huh? It's going to stop the bullet.
Okay.
They are saying that it's penetrating up to 6 centimeter. Means
Sir,
after
sir.
6 centimeter, it is not moving ahead.
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, but my answer is getting of acceleration is 8333.3.
So that you divided, not like 1 million by 12 you did.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
That's correct, no? So
Yes.
either you keep it fraction and at the end you try to simplify.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just having one more numerical based on the same thing. One last numerical we'll do, then we can just move for the next part. It's a simple one. Okay, so most of them are getting the answer 16.67. Yeah, it's correct, I think so. Ryan?
Yes, sir. So wait, I did not I don't know how to what extent is this correct, but I just used the units. So first I converted minute
Okay.
into seconds.
Okay.
So 1 minute will be 60 seconds. So we'll get 5 by 6 kg meter per second, kg per second.
Okay.
Then now I multiplied that with the velocity, so we'll get 50 by 3 kg meter per second square. So that's Newton. So
Means you just did it using the units form.
yeah.
But we
And,
did this formula, right?
yeah, but we can use that formula as well.
No, V dm by dt.
Yeah, we can use that formula as well. But I do this because generally like to get it faster. That's why.
Okay, okay. Sure,
Okay.
not a problem. Yeah, right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so the form will be F is equal to V dm by dt because your velocity is not changing. Here the rate of mass is changing. And time should be in terms of seconds. So rate will become 50 by 60. So I think so. The final answer will be nothing but 20 into 50 by 60, which is nothing but 16.67 after you simplify. Yeah, not a problem, so I understood. If anyone is having any doubt in these two numericals, can I proceed further? Okay. So now, since we have understood the Newton's second law, which usually defines the value of force as rate of change of momentum, so we are just going to define certain types of forces. Now, the common type of forces which we will be coming across in free body diagrams as well, because that is one part which we'll be dealing after completing the Newton's law and the conservation of momentum. So in that free body diagrams, what all forces will be included, those forces we will just have a glance once. Here, Ryan.
So before we start with this, I just had one doubt.
Tell me.
Isn't it possible that the mass as well as the velocity of the object changes?
Yeah, both can change.
So, but then in the equation for when we derivate force, then we consider that one is constant and one is one is changing.
Yeah, this is the formula.
Okay, so we'll use this formula.
Yeah.
We'll add both of them.
Yeah,
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
you're welcome. Yeah, Bhupen.
Sir, in the previous example 5 question,
Uh,
sir, the answer. Sir, 1 minute.
tell me.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the example 5 question, the answer is 41.6665.
No, 416.66. 416 point.
Ah, yes. Sir. Got
Yeah.
it, sir.
Okay, so we'll just deal with some common forces. The first type of force which will come across in all the free body diagrams, common force, weight of an object. See, if I want to define the weight of an object, simple words, we define it as the force of gravity which acts on any object. In short, we can also define it as a gravitational force which is being acting on an object. In that terms also, you can try to define it. So simple, you can say force with which Earth attracts. Always given in the form of W is equal to mg. Mass into acceleration, but acceleration is acceleration due to gravity. So that becomes mg. This is the first type of force which you will come across. After that, the second type of force which you will come across is called as reaction or normal force. Now this is nothing but that force which is exerted by the surface on any object in contact with it. So whenever you try to place any body or any object on a rigid surface, the surface try to apply a perpendicular force on it, and that perpendicular force is called as a normal force. The word normal means perpendicular. So nothing but, suppose if I take an example of a surface on which a block is resting, the downward force is always the weight mg. And the surface is going to apply a perpendicular force in the upward direction, which is called as a normal force. You can also represent it as capital R. Both the notations are correct. Also, you can come across some inclined surfaces. And if an object is kept on an inclined surface, and there if I want to check out what all forces are acting on it, so one force will be the weight mg which is acting downwards. And the reaction force is always perpendicular to the surface. So this will be the reaction force, which is perpendicular to the surface. So if I want to just try to balance the normal force, so I need a force which is in the direction of your normal force. So I will just going to use some resolution of vectors. I'm going to find out the components of your weight mg. So one component I can draw which will be along your normal and other will be along the surface, exactly perpendicular. But to just find out which force or which component that will be, because we have two components, sine component and cos component. So if I want to just find the component, if I just make a reference line horizontally, and I try to make another line which is parallel to the surface. So if this angle is theta, accordingly I can say this angle will become theta. If I talk about this angle will be your 90 minus theta, because this is exactly perpendicular. If this is 90 minus theta, then this angle will become theta again. So this is how you can obtain that the component which is made along your normal is forming an angle theta with the weight. That means that component will be your cos component. and the other component which will be along the surface, because we resolve into two perpendicular components, that will be sine component. Now the mg cos will try to balance the normal reaction, and the sine component means this force is going to make the object slide down the surface. Yes, Bhupen?
No, sir. My doubt was clear.
Yeah?
So my doubt has been cleared.
Acha, cleared. Okay, not a problem. Is it clear? So whenever I talk about a normal force, the word normal means perpendicular. This force will be applied by the surface on an object which is in contact with it. So when you place a body, in the first case it was in horizontal. So you got normal and mg both are balancing each other because the directions were exactly opposite and equal. But when you talk about an inclined, the weight is exactly vertically downward, but the normal reaction depends upon the surface because it is perpendicular to the surface. So to just find out which amount is balancing the normal, I will try to split my mg into two components. One will be along normal, one will be perpendicular to normal. And when I try to shift the angle theta, I just made that reference horizontal line. After what I got that this component forms an angle theta with the vertical, so that it became your mg cos theta component. This became mg sin theta component. Means if I apply the equations, I can say n and mg cos theta will balance each other because the object is not moving up, not going inside the surface, means both are balancing, both are equal forces, opposite. And mg sin theta is the force with which the object is going to slide along the surface if it is resting on a smooth surface. Yes, Shravan?
यस सर सर यहाँ पे जो आप कौन सा लाइन सर रेफरेंस लाइन है ग्रीन कलर
नहीं, ग्रीन कलर तो तुम्हारा वेट का है, वेट mg है. अगर मुझे रेफरेंस लाइन बनाना है ना, तो आई एम जस्ट मेकिंग दैट, आई जस्ट मेक इट अ ब्लू लाइन. ओके, ये रेफरेंस लाइन बन गया हॉरिजॉन्टल, राइट?
यस सर
अब जो ये
सर
mg
आप
साइन वाला बनाया है ना, इसको तुम सरफेस के अलोंग बना दो, पैरेलल.
यस सर
ओके, नाउ यू ट्राई टू मूव द एंगल्स. अब ये एंगल थीटा है, तो ये एंगल थीटा हो जाएगा ऑल्टरनेट,
यस सर
बराबर. नाउ दिस इज एग्जैक्टली परपेंडिकुलर, दिस एंटायर इज 90 ग्रीन के साथ.
यस सर
Okay, so what will be this angle measurement? Will it be 90 minus theta?
यस सर व्हिच इज cos थीटा
If this is 90 minus theta, then what about this small angle now?
थीटा
Theta. So if this is theta, that means जो मैंने ये mg बनाया, जो कंपोनेंट थीटा के साथ होता है वो कंपोनेंट क्या बन जाता है,
cos
और दूसरा क्या बनेगा?
sin सर तो यहाँ पे mg cos थीटा स्टैटिक रहने की कोशिश करता है mg sin थीटा मूव करने की कोशिश
मूव
करता
करने
है
की कोशिश करेगा, करेक्ट.
सर तो मतलब फर्स्ट केस में mg sin थीटा 0 है क्या
नहीं, फर्स्ट केस में mg sin थीटा है ही नहीं, क्योंकि एग्जैक्टली ये है ना, हम लोग पैरेलल है.
सर तो मतलब फोर्सेस एक दूसरे को कैंसिल आउट कर देते
हाँ
हैं
जी, वहां पे तुम बोल सकते हो थीटा इज 0 डिग्री इन दिस केस, क्योंकि वो हॉरिजॉन्टल सरफेस है ना. तो हॉरिजॉन्टल
Yes.
मतलब थीटा 0 हो गया. तो अगर तुम यहाँ पे थीटा 0 पुट करोगे, तो साइन 0 क्या होता है?
0
0. और cos 0 क्या होता है? 1. इसलिए n तुम्हारा एग्जैक्ट mg बन गया, और हॉरिजॉन्टली वो कहीं पे मूव करेगा ही नहीं.
यस सर सर यहाँ पे वो खुद मतलब जो स्लाइड हो रहा है ये अपने वेट से स्लाइड हो रहा है या फिर ये सरफेस की वजह से स्लाइड हो रहा है
नहीं, ये फोर्स के वजह से स्लाइड हो रहा है. अभी सरफेस अगर स्मूथ होगा तो वो स्लाइड होते हुए आगे चला जाएगा. अगर फ्रिक्शन, अगर रफ सरफेस होगा, तो उनके बीच का जो
Acceleration.
फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स है वो कोएफिशिएंट डिसाइड करेगा कि उसको आगे जाना चाहिए कि नहीं जाना चाहिए.
ओके सर
So it depends upon the nature of the surfaces. Yes, Piyush, friction depends upon the normal reaction force. Mu n is the formula. Because वो बताता है ना कि दोनों के बीच में कितना interaction होगा. The interlocking between the two surfaces. Okay, so I think so. This much part is clear. Both the forces. So after we study your weight and normal reaction force, the third type of force, most commonly, majorly, which will be used, so that force is nothing but your tensional force, the tension. Now tension you will observe along any spring, you can observe along some rope, along some you can say different type of connecting wires when any object is freely suspended. So fine wires, springs, cables you can say, chain you can say. So the force along those will be called as tension force. So suppose if I just take an example of a block which is getting pulled by a rope. So the pulling force is towards right. So when you try to pull it, a tension force is generated along the rope in the opposite direction. Because tension is nothing but you can also call it as the restoring force which the thread can withstand. So the spring will always have some withstanding limit. If that withstanding limit is crossed, if the applied force becomes more, obviously the spring or the rope or the chain will break down. But if the applied force is less or equal, it can withstand that value. The rope, spring or chain won't break. So that is the condition usually what we consider. Such type of examples you are going to come. There are certain questions related to monkeys climbing on the rope. ऐसा कुछ examples you will come across. Yes, Surya?
Sir, but the direction of tension depends on which system you're considering, right?
Yeah. If
If
I'm
you
just
consider
considering this
lock,
as
then
red.
tension.
हाँ.
Okay, sir.
So if
So
with
here we're
respect to
considering
block,
the rope as the system.
no, I'm considering the system as the hand by which I'm pulling. And this is
Okay,
fixed. Okay,
sir.
so with
But
respect
rope
to
is
the hand,
experiencing the tension, right?
huh?
Rope is experiencing the tension or the hand?
Rope is experiencing the tension.
Okay,
And the
sir.
direction depends upon whether you are considering hand or whether you are considering the block.
Block.
If I draw
Right.
with respect to the block, then the tension force will move away from the block.
Yes.
And if I talk with respect to hand, then it will move away from the
So
hand.
because applied force translates to tension, right?
Yes,
For the block.
yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, Ryan.
Sir, so here like the hand is pulling. So what is the block resisting it by? Because the
Is
rope is
resisting.
considered no, like the rope is considered to be without a mass, right?
Yeah, rope is
So
connected to the mass. Rope is
yeah,
connected to a block.
yeah, but the rope does not possess a mass, right?
No, it is
So
massless. Fixed.
like why is there a tension force coming? What is resisting the
The
force
material.
applied by the hand?
The
Okay,
material means that string is made up of some materials. No?
Or can we say the component of its weight?
No, components of weight, how it will be. If I
It's
consider the weight,
like
obviously it will get slag in between.
no, like it's the y component of its weight. It will be in the line of the red arrow, right?
Y component of what?
Of so the mass of the block. Now the weight will act downwards, right? In this
Weight is
system.
always acting downwards. Yes. Then
So now since it's acting downward, then I can I won't be able to divide it into components.
yeah, because it is already downward. No?
Already downward. Correct.
So perpendicular components won't happen.
Okay. So the only thing that's resisting it is the material itself.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anup, sir, in tug of war from both sides, the force is applied and does tension act on both the sides? Yes, tension is acted upon along the spring from both the sides. Actually, tension is nothing but the resultant force which is acting on the entire spring. And that resultant force then depends. If the right side is pulling, then with respect to the right side person, the tension direction will be towards left. And if I talk about with respect to the left side person, if the left side person is trying to pull the string towards left, the tension direction will be towards right inside the rope. Because rope is a type of a material which is trying to avoid the deformation. There is some restoring force generated due to its material. Yeah, Shravan?
Sir, but the tension only occurs if we fix the one end of the string, rope, or anything, and then pull the other end, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sir.
Even if it is very heavy and we are trying to pull, if there is some friction over here, if it
Yes,
is
sir.
very smooth, then you can say there is no tension because it will move on. No? Once you apply the force and leave it, the block is going to move on if it is a smooth surface.
But
There is
that
no one
doesn't
to
happen
resist.
in real life.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in real life. So if there is some friction, obviously you're going to provide some pulling force on it, and that time the tension force will be generated.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Adi. Oh, sorry, Satakshi. Satakshi.
Sir, I am considering a case where the block can move.
So
मतलब
even if the block can move, see whatever force you apply on the hand, right? That applied force depends upon the tension applied. Correct? जितना force apply करोगे उतना ही tension develop होगा.
तो
If
सर
you say that the block is moving, that means your F is more than the given tension, due to which the force get transfers to the block and the block is able to move ahead. But suppose if the block is not moving, means the entire application of the force is getting transferred on the rope. So whatever the magnitude of force you apply, that the string has to withstand. Okay, so that time there is a chance that the rope can break. But if the block is moving, that means the force is getting transferred from the rope to the block.
but sir, if we apply more force than required to pull the block, then is there a possibility to of tension to develop in the string and it breaks?
Yeah, there is a possibility. No? Suppose if I take a normal thread you take, and you just try to connect some heavy, like you connect a thread to the mobile and
Okay.
you try to lift it.
Huh?
What will happen? Thread will break.
Okay.
Because the thread cannot provide the resultant, because you're providing an upward force, right? There is a mobile weight in the downward, so the
Yes.
resultant is acting on the thread. If the thread is able to handle that force, obviously it won't break. But if it is not able, obviously it will cross the withstanding limit of the thread and the thread will break.
So sir, in what cases of F and T will block move?
That depends, na? That depends upon the condition, depends upon what tension force the string can
Sir,
withstand. They can specify. They will specify
sir,
that
can
this,
you?
yeah. Satakshi?
Sir, yes, sir, I'm ready. I was asking in what mathematical expressions of F and T can the block move?
If the block is moving, then you will say F minus T is equal to MA. That is a mathematical expression.
Okay.
Yes, Adi?
Yes, so what is the basic difference between tension force and friction force?
Tension is generated always along the springs, always along the ropes, always along the chain. Friction is the contact force between the surface and the moving object over it. So
Okay.
friction is due to the interlocking between the two surfaces, which is trying to oppose the other state, is trying to oppose the motion of an object. That is
Yes.
friction. But when you talk about the tension force is nothing but you can say some restoring force which is generated along a wire or along a string. As a simple example, if I take an example of elastic rubber band,
Yes.
when you stretch a rubber band, what happens? Some force is getting generated inside the rubber,
Yes.
right? When you release the rubber, that force tries to bring back to the original shape, right?
Yes.
So when you applied a force, some equal and opposite force got generated in the material, but since it was an elastic material, it got deformed, correct?
Yes, sir.
What about the inelastic materials? In inelastic materials, obviously there will be certain bonds between the atoms.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are applying a force. If you are applying a force, so obviously that restoring force is generated among that material. That restoring force is nothing but your tension force.
Okay, sir.
And if the applied force becomes very large, that it is not able to withstand the like the force between the bonds of the
So it will
material,
break.
so it will break. and it will create a crack over there.
Yes.
Understood?
I guess so.
Yeah, Surya.
So you just said that the MA will be F minus T
Yeah.
if the block is moving. So
Yeah.
but MA will just be T, right? Or F, because F in if the
No,
block
no.
is moving and the
There
rope
are
is taut,
there are two
F equals
forces
T,
acting on
right?
the system. No, there are two forces acting on the system,
Yes, sir.
and that becomes the resultant. So you are applying F, some
Sir,
force
but
is
for the
getting bear
block,
by the string.
if we draw the diagram for the block, only the F will be acting, right, for the block.
No, even the
whatever you-
string is happening. Here it is a contact.
Yeah,
You are
yes,
not
sir.
directly pulling
So
it.
only one force is acting at the contact point, right?
Hmm.
So it will directly be MA equals F.
Okay, in that case, you are saying
For,
like if I make the
inelastic
body
string.
diagram this way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So sorry. Now I understood what you are exactly saying. Means if I try to make the free body diagram for this, it will be simply M equals to T, and that will be equal to F.
Yes, sir. So F won't. I mean, we only consider one of them, right?
Yes,
We don't
yes.
consider both.
No. Absolutely correct. Yeah, Dhruv. Satakshi, just make this clear.
Sir, so when F is greater than T, the block will either move or the string will break.
Yeah, it depends. Like whatever the resisting force is going to apply, because it is MA na, at the end, which is going to get equated to it.
Ah, yes. Okay, sir.
If it is resting on a smooth surface, obviously it will move. If there is some resisting force available, so obviously some resultant will be developed over there.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rana?
हाँ सर सर जो इलास्टिक ऑब्जेक्ट होता है और जो बिना इलास्टिक वाला ऑब्जेक्ट होता है दोनों को ब्रेक करने में अलग अलग फोर्स लगाना पड़ता है क्या?
हाँ, अलग अलग लगाना पड़ेगा.
हाँ वही मैं सोच रहा था कि सपोज करो सर मैंने आपका पजामा पहन लिया तो पजामा का जो नाड़ा होता है वो होता है इन इलास्टिक तो वो आसानी से टूट जाएगा, लेकिन अगर पैंट पहन लिया तो वो होता है इलास्टिक तो उसको तोड़ने
नहीं,
में ज्यादा जोर लगाना पड़ेगा. तो मतलब
इनएक्सटेंसिबल हो गया ना.
हाँ तो मतलब जो इलास्टिक होता है सर उसको तोड़ने में ज्यादा फोर्स लगाना पड़ता है.
हाँ जी, क्योंकि वो उसमें डिफॉर्मिंग फोर्स जनरेट हो जाता है ना.
हाँ ठीक है सर, थैंक यू.
Aryan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you talk about at this point, na, that time F and T will be same, because you can make either with reference to the hand application or you can use with respect to the block.
Okay, okay,
If you
sir.
talk with respect to the hand, that time you can say the force which is generated over here, F is equal to T. Okay, the direction will be in this form. If you talk with respect to the block, that time the tension direction will be exactly opposite. So for the block, it will be in this direction.
Oh, okay, sir. Yes.
Anyone else want to ask anything based on this? Okay, so that is all your third type of force. Now the next type of force we are going to deal with is your spring force. Now spring is nothing but a form of your elastic material. So whenever you try to change its dimensions, whenever you try to deform it by applying some deforming force, so due to that deformation, some internal restoring forces are getting generated inside the material, which tries to bring the shape back to its original dimensions. So if I talk about the relation between them, you can just say that some restoring force is getting generated. There will be some extension produced when you try to stretch it or when you try to compress it from its initial position. and both the directions will be minus, opposite, so that you get a relation as F is equal to minus kx, where k is a spring constant. Now how this we obtain? Suppose this is your spring block system. This is at mean position, initially at rest. We are not trying to deform it. But suppose now if I try to deform by compressing it, so I'm compressing it towards left. So when I compress, I'm trying to push the block towards left hand side. Means the displacement from the initial position will be done generated in the left hand side. So when you try to release the block, the spring will go back towards the right hand side. It moves towards the right hand side because when you were trying to apply the force, some restoring force was getting generated inside it to the applied force. And this restoring force brings the spring back to its original dimensions. So this restoring force depends upon to how much extent you are going to displace it. If you produce more displacement, more force will be generated. If you create less displacement, less force will be generated. And since the directions are opposite, we call it as minus. And it all depends upon the material, that on applying the force, how much it is going to get deformed. So it depends upon the material. A simple example, if I talk about for some inextensible objects, inelastic objects. For inelastic objects, you can see you apply the force, it won't displace, means it has the infinite spring constant. So if I consider any inextensible objects, inelastic objects, rigid objects, you can say. So for rigid objects, you apply the force, it is not going to get deformed. So you can see the value is very maximum. The spring constant is nothing but the constant which depends upon the material of the spring, which is given by force per unit displacement. If I just try to simplify this formula, so K is equal to F by X. And we are just talking about the solids, only about the solids. Yeah, Ryan.
Sir, so like in situations like if I have like a hollow cylinder and in that I just take a piston and I start pressing on it. So in that case, the gas gets compressed. So that is also the same spring force.
Yeah, in that also, I cannot exactly say it will be spring force. Okay, so
Because
that depends
resistance
again
is
the relation.
observed.
Yeah, the relation will be almost the same. It's a spring factor, usually what we call the spring constant as. Because
Okay.
usually this spring factor we observe in a systems of SHMs also. When we have some harmonic motions, nothing but any oscillations in terms of your pendulum, you can say.
Okay.
Okay, any motion which are your simple harmonic motion.
So sir,
There
why
will be
did
the
you say
factor.
solid over here?
Because we are just considering a spring, na, in this case.
Okay. So for other like liquids and gases, it will be different.
Yeah, there also there will be spring constants existing. In liquids also there will be spring constants.
But they will be different. And
They
the
will be different.
formula exists the same?
Formula will be the same.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Surya.
Sir, just a theoretical problem. Lots of times people talk about falling through the center of the earth, digging a hole through the earth and falling into it. Right.
I didn't get you. I didn't get you. Come back.
Sometimes people talk about this theoretical problem where if you were to dig a hole through the earth and fall into it, there also SHM will be generated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we have a spring. So we still have a spring-like thing, but without the spring itself.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. See, wherever you will observe this oscillations kind of thing, there will be this spring factor existing over there. Because in every medium, if I'm talking an oscillation, there are restoring force generated.
Yes.
And these restoring force depends upon the amount of displacements which are getting
Yes.
produced.
So if the force depends on some fixed position, distance from some fixed position, it's usually SHM.
Yeah, it will be usually SHM.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Shravan.
Yes, sir. Sir, what is the difference between spring force and tension?
Spring force, you can say it is nothing but generated in some elastic mediums.
Sir, tension
Force,
is also generated in elastic mediums like string.
no, but that is along a straight line. No?
And this is?
This is nothing but you can say which is trying to deform and it is going to come back to its original shape and which is depending upon the displacement. The spring force is depending upon the displacements.
And the tension is depending upon?
The applied force. And it is just depending upon the material, whether it is able to withstand that force or not. Because
Yes,
there
sir.
the string is not getting extendable. The spring length, the string length is not changing. Suppose if we take an example, like we have a topic called as Young's modulus.
Yes, sir.
In which we study the extensions produced in a wire.
Yes, sir. That formula stress upon strain which you gave in the...
Yes. So those extensions which are produced in a spring, that
Yes.
extensions we refer to the restoring forces. That time we call F is equal to Kx.
Minus Tx, sir.
Yeah, minus Kx. Because whatever the extension is getting produced, it is just equivalent to the restoring forces which are getting generated.
Okay, sir. So this force forms after some deformation is taking place.
Yes. And that deformation
That's
depends
the thing.
upon the force applied.
Okay, sir. So tension is the force before deformation and spring force is the force after deformation.
No, that way you cannot exactly specify it. Because you can say, because string also, when it reaches that it is within the elastic limit, there also their word is there. It is within elastic limit. That time it can come back to its original formation. So you can say F is equal to Kx applicable to that, which is your Hooke's law.
Okay, sir. Sir, as asked by the previous classmate, if we dig a hole to the center of the earth,
yeah,
and we jump into it, so will the earth attract us, repel us, what?
No, we will try to oscillate within that.
Why, sir?
Because this action reaction pair getting generated, no?
How, sir?
So I'll just explain that you at 9 o'clock. Will that be okay?
Okay, sir.
Your example, I'll just try to resolve it.
Okay.
So that others just don't get late in that. I'll just explain you at 9 o'clock. You just make me remind this once we end the class. Yeah, Bhupen, tell me.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, K is the coefficient of friction.
No. K is the spring constant. K is your force per unit displacement.
Sir, but what is the value of K then?
K depends, like it depends upon every material. It can be 2 kg, 2 Newton per meter. It can be 10 Newton per meter.
Sir, how, sir?
It depends upon the material. Every material has its own constant.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, but if it is come in that test, TWD test,
they will
sir,
specify.
Sir, it will specify.
Yeah, they will specify the materials. Like
sir,
suppose.
Sir, then if we do the practical of something like this, practical, sir. Sir, then how can we get the value of, sir, how that
spring constant?
Sir, that if it is plastic, if it is metal, then aluminium.
Yeah, if it is
or
a metal, it is given, and they try to find out the spring constant of that material.
Sir, I was telling that aluminium and copper, sir, that both the strings that have aluminium and copper, sir, but they both have different materials, sir. So then there will be a spring constant different over, sir.
Yeah, both the materials will have different spring constants.
Sir, it has some table.
It has some?
Sir, that constant table, sir.
Yeah, there is a table on the Google directly. If you put various materials, now you will get a list of it.
Okay, sir.
Like for stainless steel, you will get, for copper, you will get, for aluminium, you will get, for phosphor bronze, we will get. Means like
Yes,
there are
sir.
various. You can
Okay,
get
sir.
a list of it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah, Ryan.
No, sir. Like nothing. It got cleared.
Okay, okay, not a problem. So actually, whatever f is equal to minus kx is written, that is also called as your Hooke's law. So that you will learn in a chapter called as elasticity. And k is called as Hooke's constant. Means within the elastic limit, this property is applicable. Yeah, Arsh.
Yes, sir. So, if a wire is made up of two metals, how do we
Alloy.
then calculate the springs? Yeah, right. Alloy. How do we then calculate the
So if you
constant?
want to calculate the spring constant of that material, just try to freely suspend it. Okay,
so
just
we
try to
can do
freely
it
suspend.
practically only.
Practically we can find out. So once you freely suspend,
Okay.
don't hang any weight on it. If you don't hang any weight on it, then you measure the length of the spring, the entire length.
Okay.
Now what you do, you attach some weight to it. So you know the downward force, what is acting on it, and how much the spring is going to extend. So you just measure the new length. New length minus the original length will give you the value of x extension.
Yes.
And the weight
Yes.
which you put, mg, will give you the amount of force. So force upon extension will give you the constant value. Means you need to repeat this experiment for 20 to 30 various values. Only then you will get an approximate k value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome. So any other doubt related to this? No, Piyush. Stress is Newton per meter square. So it's not similar. So wherever there is an elastic medium, so for that elastic medium, whenever you try to displace any object and if some restoring force is generated, there the spring constant will exist for every medium which is elastic in behavior. No, Sharvin, in this case we don't have. But we have a differential equation related to that. So slowly and steadily, when we learn simple harmonic motions, that time we relate the entire differential equation of a spring constant. So all those things you will learn in higher standards, nothing but next year, when in detail you will learn about SHM. No, Karthik, it is a spring force. Elastic, if you're using a word elastic, it is a spring force. Yes, spring constant will have a unit. Spring constant is given as F by X. So it is Newton per meter. So spring constant will have a unit. So anything else? Okay, so next we are just proceeding with something called as equilibrium. So when I use the word concurrent, so concurrent means nothing but the same term which you use in maths also, everything applied on a single point at the same point will be termed as your concurrent. Then when I talk about equilibrium, so we say summation of all forces acting on it is 0, F net. If I talk about the different coordinate axes, so forces acting along the x-axis will be 0, forces acting along y-axis will be 0, and forces acting along z-axis will be 0. I'm talking about the net forces if the system is said to be in equilibrium. So now when we will be doing this free body diagrams, the numericals based on it, that time I will use the term equilibrium several times. So whenever there is a term equilibrium, just remember the addition of all the forces acting on it should be equal to 0. If you're taking with respect to x, y, z, take respective 0, or if you're directly finding the vector of the net, the summation will be 0. Nothing but if it is given terms of I, j, and k. So one question was there, I think so, related to that in the TWT, where net value used to be need to be 0. You need to find the third vector. And if I say 3 concurrent forces in equilibrium, specifically 3, so I can connect them tail to head in the form of a triangle. Because since it is concurrent, so all are acting at a point, but since vectors can be moved anywhere on the plane, so by moving them, I can try to connect them tail to head. And once you connect tail to head, they exactly form a triangle. So if they exactly form a triangle where the length gives the magnitude, and obviously the angle with respect to some reference will give the direction. If they represent a triangle, means it is combination of concurrent forces. Yeah, Surya.
So here it says same point, but if it's a rigid body, we can treat it as a point, right?
Yeah, because whenever you apply a force on an object, it is said to be acting on the point where the entire body mass is supposed to be concentrated.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. So
Sir, and in this diagram, this diagram is saying one of the forces is the difference of the others, right?
Yeah, this one. Is
Yes.
F1 plus F2 plus F3 is 0. So you can say like F1 plus F2 is minus of F3 in that terms.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Usually it's not momentum, it's moment. Moment will be conserved. Like the summation of all moments about an axis. That is taken care when you talk about some rotational objects, rotational dynamics. So when we will be doing circular motion, that time the third equilibrium condition will arise along with your forces. That is related to moments. Yeah, Ryan.
Sir, here in the diagram you have written F1, F2, F3, and on the equation you have written Fx, Fy, Fz. So I didn't understand that.
No, these Fx, Fy, Fz are nothing but when you split their components, you will add all their x-axis components, you'll add all their y-axis components, you'll add all their z-axis components. And the resultant of all the components should be 0. Only then you can call it as an equilibrium condition because there is no net force getting generated. So that is helpful when you do the calculations of that. And this is just a diagrammatic representation. So any doubt related to this? So whenever you talk about concurrent forces, just remember the net force will be 0. No effective force will be generated. Okay. So after studying about this, the next thing which we'll be dealing of is now related to the Newton's third law. Quickly, we'll just go for it. So when you talk about the Newton's third law of motion, a simple statement everyone is aware of. Yes, Vaishnav, you are correct. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction acting simultaneously on a system. That means if I say FAB as the force on B by A, force on A by B, sorry. If I say FB has force on B by A. So if one is action, other one has to be reaction. If they are interactive forces, directly you can say in the mathematical form, both will be equal with a minus sign because the magnitudes are equal, but the direction is opposite. Just a mathematical representation. Simple example, if I just consider a table on which a book is being kept. So the weight of the book is downwards, which is getting balanced by the reaction force of the table. Similarly, if I take an example when a person walks on the ground or runs on a ground, so he applies a pushing force on the ground. So there is an equal and opposite reaction force applied by the ground. Suppose if made certain angle theta, so obviously it will get resolved into two components. The upward component becomes the normal reaction force of the ground, which gets balanced. And your r cos theta is the resultant forward push due to which the body moves forward. Yes, Bhupen?
Sir, but in this that you have explained, no, sir, in the spring.
Yeah.
Sir, but there is also Newton's third law of motion is also applicable over there too.
Yes. So applied force only, then it is generating the reaction force.
Yeah. Sir, then, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tell me.
okay, sir.
Understood.
Yeah. Sir, like this, sir, 1 minute.
Mhm.
Sir, like this, sir, there is r sine theta and r cos theta. Sir,
Yeah.
then there would be exactly opposite, sir, like that r sine theta, no, sir, mg sine theta at downward and mg cos theta.
No. The mg is downward only. The weight is always downward, no?
Sir, that resolution of vector formula we can use here also, no, on mg2.
Acha, means you are saying that mg we will just try
yes.
to resolve and one will be
Yeah.
along r and one will be perpendicular to r, like that.
Yes. Yeah.
That way is possible to resolve, but there is no use of resolving it. Because at the end the body is having a pushing force which is applied by the ground and we are moving forward. So we need a horizontal force which is acting in the forward direction.
Yeah.
Means for us the reference is vertical and horizontal. So the vertical cannot be resolved. So we need to just define which is our reference axis. If it is your horizontal and vertical, so the inclined one will be resolved.
Okay, sir.
Understood?
Yes.
Yeah, Surya.
So the choice of action force and reaction force is always arbitrary, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So after that we have something called as impulse. Yes, Bhupen.
Sir, can you show the previous page?
Yeah, I will just.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
I want to
Done?
just take a photo, sir. Yeah.
Okay, sure, not a problem. Okay, so when I talk about impulse, yes, we define usually impulse as the change in momentum. But actually impulse is not defined as change in momentum. Impulse is defined something else. When I call something called as impulsive force, can anyone help me out? What is an impulsive force or what is an impulse? Yeah, Surya.
Sir, impulsive force is a force of high magnitude acting on a short period of time.
Yes, correct.
An impulse will be the integral of that force with respect to time.
Means measurement of that force for that particular time. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, sir?
No,
Impulse
means
or
impulse is
impulsive
nothing
force?
but the measurement of force in that time.
The impulse would be the area under the curve, right?
Yeah, area under the curve. So it is
So,
force
but
into
how
time.
is it the measure of force?
So it is
For
a
that
quantity.
time,
For
assuming
that
we know time. Okay, sir.
No, because you are multiplying the force and time. So it is nothing but the force applied for that particular time.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
And in other words, I can say the total effect also of the force.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so when a large force works on a body for a very small time interval, it is called as an impulsive force. And basically, as I said, impulse is nothing but the area under the graph. And when I say area under the graph, area under your force and time graph, I'd explained there is one calculus which is used to find the area. And that calculus operator is nothing but the integration. So here also you can directly say if impulse is the area under your force versus time graph, means I can write in the form of calculus also, as impulse as integration of force into time, where time is nothing but the changing factor from which interval to which. So it is nothing but from time t1 to t2. So this is a form of a definite integral. Means you will get a definite area. You will get a value of the area at the end. There won't be any constant of integration or anything. It won't be a generalized value. So T1 indicates the starting time, T2 indicates the ending time. So between T1 to T2, if you're applying a force, so the area under that force or the effect of force will be called as your impulse. So this is the representation in terms of calculus, you can say. And in other words, if I just calculate the basic meaning of integration, so you can say impulse is equal to area under the graph, area under the FT curve. So simple, if I take a diagram, a graphical representation where it is representing a straight line, linear. So here it is very simple. Impulse is nothing but the area under the graph, which is nothing but area of the triangle, which will become half into base into height, and you can directly relate to as f into t by 2. Yeah, Ryan?
Sir, so definite integral means that the constant that we put, like plus c, which we put, it won't be there.
It won't be there because it is not indefinite. Now you know from which point to which point you are finding the area. So it is specific.
Okay, and my second question was that for any equation, like for velocities, we draw the velocity time graph, and the area under that graph will give us the displacement. So
Yeah.
like that, we can do the same thing there also, that v is equal to integrate v
SDT.
delta sdt.
Yeah, SDT. Integration of SDT is
Okay.
your velocity, and integration of ADT is your velocity.
Velocity. Okay, and sir, you will be giving any numericals based on this?
Yeah, there will be numericals based on this.
On integration?
No integration based numericals will be there. Only the area part, nothing but the area of the triangle, area of the rectangle or trapezium. Only those common questions will be there. Nothing related to the non-uniform equations.
Okay, so but this I is equal to the integration that you have just given for reference.
That is just for reference because that is a basic definition. As I said, if I am defining it as an area, so in general it should be represented in the form of calculus.
Okay.
When I say the change, rate of change
Yeah.
is nothing but differentiation. So they are the specific definitions for them.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Bhupen.
Sir, but according to the integration formula, sir, the f should be, sir, I was saying that, sir, into the integral form, sir, integral, no, sir, integer form, sir, there will be f into t2 minus t1, no, sir.
F into t2 minus t1 if f is constant.
Yeah, sir, if f is constant, then, sir, according to the integration formula, sir, dt is equal to t2 minus t1, no, sir. If there is dx and x is equal to a minus b, so according to integration
that
formula.
is only possible if force is constant.
Okay,
because if force is constant, only then you will take that out, and then you will say that only
yes,
the
sir.
time is changing. But suppose if the force is dependent upon time, so you will get an equation in terms of t. There might be a linear term, there will be a quadratic term. So with respect to that, the integration formula is there.
Okay,
the entire answer will change. So it won't be only t2 minus t1, but you will get an equation in terms of time in which you will substitute the t2 value first, then you will substitute the t1 value first, and then you will take the difference of that.
Okay, sir. Sir, Sir.
Tell.
Sir, we will not get any integration based sum with impulse.
No. No integration based number.
Okay, sir.
Only graphical questions will come, but those graphical questions will have your normal triangle, rectangle, trapezium. That's it. No integration based questions will be there. It is just for your reference. That's it. Just to define it. Now suppose if I try to define the Newton's second law. Yeah, Surya.
Sir, just curious, in general, in real life application, what kind of functions of time is force? Like usually force is a function of time we have to calculate, right?
Yeah.
Using force, assuming force is a function of time. So what kind of functions do we come across in real life application?
Real life applications, so you can come across the cubic equations.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Or we could just plot it and let the computer split it up into sections.
Cubic is possible. Then in trigonometry, sine and cos are possible, which are continuous graphs. So
in real life we get cubic
sinusoidal
equations.
Sinusoidal also we could get, no? Because if it is sinusoidal, yeah.
Okay, sir.
There is a possibility.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if I go for Newton's second law, we know the formula that F is equal to dp by dt, change in momentum by time. So if I just try to shift this dt on the other side, because as per the integration formula, I need F into dt to find impulse. So if I shift dt on the other side, that will become F dt, and dp on the other side, if I integrate. Now the left hand side I know that is inertia I. But on the right hand side, if I'm writing it as dp, the change in momentum, and from p1 to p2, so obviously from p1 to p2, what is the change? P2 minus p1. Because there is only one function dp existing on the right hand side. So can directly get the relation as I is equal to p2 minus p1, which is equal to change in momentum. Hence we specify that impulse is also your change in momentum, delta p. Yeah, Ryan.
Sir, so like it was a very general doubt about the symbols. So even momentum, like momentum symbol is P, or is it some Greek letter?
Momentum letter is P.
Then for what will be for pressure then?
Capital P.
Okay, capital P,
This
like
is
that
small
it is
p.
denoted.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
sir.
small p.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No, it's just an example, Karthik. If it is a linear graph, so if I want to find out the area under the graph, that time you can take it as a triangle. It can be anything. It can be, you can say, constant force acting for certain time, so it will be in the shape of a rectangle. So it depends, Karthik. Yes, Shravan, I am going to answer. Don't worry. Once the lecture is done, I will just answer. Yes, Karthik, it is I equals to Ft only, but we directly don't use. I equal to Ft becomes when it is your constant force acting for a certain time. If constant force is acting, so we write impulse as force into time. Okay, so quickly we'll just do two applications of it. I'm just moving to the next screen. Okay, so if I go for the law of conservation of momentum, now this also everyone knows that law of conservation states that the momentum of a body remains constant and when to keep a momentum constant. When no external force acts on a system, obviously if no external force is acting, that means the momentum is not going to change and the momentum is going to remain constant. And if I have a relation F is equal to dp by dt, and if I say no force is acting on it, if F is 0, so with respect to the differentiation, so if I just refer to the differentiation calculus, when the answer of derivative is 0, derivative of what is 0? Because F is 0 in this case. So when the derivative becomes 0, when the function is a constant. So derivative is 0 when it acts on a constant number. That means if P is constant, then we can say force is 0. So that is your relation between your conservation of momentum. So if I say a system consists of various particles, every particle has some or the other momentum. There might be collisions, there might be explosion inside the system. But that inside the system, if anything is happening, the momentum of the system is always constant. Because we are not externally applying any force on that system. Something is happening already inside it. If I say that they are having certain masses, certain velocities, you can also relate to this form. M1 U V1 plus M2 V2 plus M3 V3 is constant. So that shows that if there is an absence of external force for any closed system, then the linear momentum of the individual particles may change due to collisions and all. But at the end, when you vectorially add them all together, the final value will be unchanged. The sum remains unchanged with time. Means if I just consider a system of two particles, simple example. So I can say the sum of moment should be 0, should be constant, sorry. It should not change of the two bodies, even if they are colliding inside it with each other. But since no external force is acting on the system of those particles, means the momentum is conserved. That means P1 and P2 value should be constant every time. P1 may change, P2 may change, but the addition will always be constant. That means if I apply the basic formula to it, so we can say M1 V1 plus M2 V2 will be equal to constant. If I try to take the differentiation with respect to time, there are two terms. I can differentiate them individually. If I differentiate the first term, mass is constant, velocity will become d1 v1 by dt. Second term, m2 is constant, v2 will become d v2 t by dt, and constant differentiation is 0. And differentiation of velocity is nothing but acceleration, so you get m1 a1 plus m2 a2 equals to 0. And that is nothing but f1 plus f2 as 0, means force imparted on first by second and force imparted on second by first. The addition is 0. That means both are equal and opposite, which is nothing but your Newton's third law. So you can say your law of conservation of momentum is in relation with your Newton's third law. Is it clear this much? Yes, Surya, tell me.
So is conservation of linear momentum or momentum, is it derived from second or third law? Because last year we derived it from third law in school. But
in the school, which we actually try to define it, right? There we
yes,
use
sir.
the third law and the second law.
Yes, sir.
And we try to define the equation that m1 u1 plus m2 u2 equals to something, some relation. m1 u1 plus m2 u2 equal to
Yes,
m1
sir.
u1
But
plus
that is a very restricted
m2
case.
v2. Yeah, that is particularly for the collisions case that way.
Okay,
But
sir.
actually,
So,
that is one of the application of it.
okay, sir.
It is
So
not
this
your
is
exact law derivation.
so general formula. So general law derivation is from strictly from second law.
Yeah, it is strictly because whatever thing I have specified on the screen right now, that is the actual derivation of it.
Okay, sir.
That is how actually it is being defined. Why we say it as conserved. why it is said to be constant, how it happened to it. Okay, and accordingly at the end we arrived that it is nothing but your Newton's third law supporting.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mayuresh? Mayuresh, tell me.
So here we have written that m1 v1 plus m2 v2 equals to constant, right?
Yeah.
But how v1 will equal to d1 dv1 upon dt? It should be dA1 upon dt, right?
Again come back, you said?
सर आपने लिखा है ना m1 v1 plus m2 v2 कांस्टेंट है और बाद
Yes.
में लिखा है डिफरेंशिएटिंग अबव विद रिस्पेक्ट टू टाइम.
Yeah.
तो dv1 upon dt कैसे आएगा? dA1 upon dt आना चाहिए ना. v1 की v आता है तो, क्योंकि अगर अपन एक्सेलरेशन का डिफरेंशिएशन करेंगे तो वेलोसिटी आती है.
नहीं, the same equation I am differentiating. This is the question. इसको मैं डिफरेंशिएट कर रहा हूँ, मतलब ये पूरे इक्वेशन पे मैं डिफरेंशिएशन ऑपरेटर अप्लाई कर रहा हूँ.
अच्छा, मतलब अपन इक्वेट नहीं कर रहे हैं ना?
नहीं,
v1
इक्वेट
आने
नहीं
के
कर
लिए क्या
रहा,
कर रहे हैं?
मैं उस पे ऑपरेट कर रहा हूँ, मतलब मैं उस पे डिफरेंशिएशन ऑपरेटर अप्लाई कर रहा हूँ. और अप्लाई करने के बाद एज पर द डेफिनेशन जो dv1 by dt था, क्योंकि डिफरेंशिएशन का ये क्या होता है बेसिक रूल कि अगर कोई कांस्टेंट टर्म होगा तो कांस्टेंट टर्म ऐसे ही रहेगा, लेकिन जो फैक्टर चेंज होने वाला है उस पे डिफरेंशिएशन अप्लाई होगा.
अच्छा,
तो सेम
तो
थिंग आई
मतलब
अप्लाई.
m1 और m2 चेंज नहीं होगा?
नहीं, m1 और m2 मैंने कांस्टेंट लिया हुआ है.
ओके.
मास ऑफ द पार्टिकल इज नॉट चेंजिंग, जस्ट वो कोलिजन्स एंड ऑल हो रहे हैं जिनके कारण उनका वेलोसिटी चेंज हो रहा है उस पर्टिकुलर सिस्टम के अंदर.
ओके सर.
Yeah, anything else anyone want to ask? Yeah, so there are few applications and then further numericals are there that we can just continue in the next class, because I think so the time is done. So those who don't any doubt, they can just leave the meeting and go. And Shravan.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. We oscillate because at the center we say the gravity is 0.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The maximum gravity is where? At the at the surface. So when you try to move towards inside, the gravity is slowly and steadily getting decreased.
Sir,
And
so,
you will,
so shouldn't the object first, so shouldn't the earth first attract the object to the ground and then push it back and then attract it?
wait, I will just show you a simple diagram. I think so after that and
Yes.
it will be very much clear. See,
Yes.
this is Earth, right? Make an entire tunnel
Yes,
from
sir.
one pole
In
to
the
another
center.
pole. From one pole to another pole. Just listen to my that word.
Okay, sir.
This way.
Okay, sir.
Now you'll oscillate it with this. Because at the center it is 0.
Yes, sir.
It is getting increase over here. It is getting increase over here. So if you try to move on this side, so the force
Okay,
on this
sir.
side will try to pull over here.
Okay, sir. So when the gravity becomes 0, the object moves upwards, and when it moves upwards, the gravity again becomes
Yeah.
smooth and 0 and begins to attract
Yeah,
it.
because there is an inertia factor on the body, no?
Yes, sir.
Due to which it will continue its motion, then again it becomes 0, again it comes back. So it will oscillate. So it is an entire tunnel, you can say. It is not only
Yes.
till the center. The tube is made along the entire Earth, like from one pole to another pole.
Sir, but what if we make only till center?
Nothing will
there
happen.
be not, sir. Then I mean, if we jump into that pole, then what will happen? I mean, will we still oscillate?
No, you won't still oscillate. You will come out. If I just talk about like if you try to move inside, means the gravity effect is slowly and steadily becoming 0, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you reach at the center,
Yes, sir.
the effect becomes 0.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how we can relate that during that motion, because you cannot move further. You
Yes,
will
sir.
be rest at the center then. You will stop over there.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Because-
but I have a doubt that since the acceleration is slowly and slowly decreasing, so the deeper we fall, the less we will get hurt, right?
Yeah. So at the center, that only is it is going to stop. There is no gravity. That means there is no force, external force acting. But your body is having inertia, na,
Yes, sir.
while moving. So
So
gravity is changing means the applied force, the external force which is acting on your body is changing.
yes, sir. So,
Okay,
but falling from like from a distance of to the center of the earth from a point from the equator, falling that distance above the sea level and coming to it, then we will get hurt, sir. So basically, I want to ask that let that distance be h. So if we fall a height of h from the sky to ground, or when we do that to the center of the earth, then we will get.
Sir,
Yes, Shravan, just a minute. Surya, bolo.
Yeah, so what you said about only halfway through, well, assuming we throw in a perfectly elastic body so it doesn't get deformed, so then it'll just come back up, right? Because there will be, the body will exert, so assuming it just stops there, there's some wall there or something like that. The body will exert force on wall will exert force on body. Now, change of momentum of earth will be negligible. So then basically the movement of the body becomes negative, right?
Yeah, means you're talking about if an elastic body is being put inside it, then obviously it will get rebounded, it will come back to the
so now again we get oscillation.
Yeah. If it is your elastic body.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And sir, one more thing, sir, all simple harmonic motion, it just continues perpetually because of symmetry, right?
Yeah, because of the symmetry it perpetuates, because along the mean position it is symmetric on both the sides.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Surya. Dhruv?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you again explain this earth wala concept? Because sir, जो gravity होती है वो तो center of mass से होती है ना? Exert तो center of mass से होती है ना?
नहीं. जब भी तुम नीचे अंदर की तरफ जाते हो ना, so उस टाइम पे जो तुम्हारा मास का जो कलेक्टिव मास जो उस पे एक्ट हो रहा है, बिकॉज सपोज तुम इस पॉइंट पे जब आ जाते हो, ये जब हम ग्रेविटेशन चैप्टर करते हैं ना, तब ये पॉइंट आता है कि ग्रेविटी नीचे जाने के बाद जीरो क्यों हो जाती है, या आर्यन ने भी बताया भी कुछ शेल थ्योरम वहां पे। तो सपोज तुम ए पॉइंट पे आ गए यहाँ पर, तो इस वक्त यहाँ पे जो सर्कल एक्ट होगा, जो पर्टिकुलर मास एक्ट होगा तुम्हें अट्रैक्ट करने के लिए, दैट विल बी ओनली दिस मच मास। You're getting my point? So every time the mass is getting reduced.
Sir, but still center तो सेम ही रहेगा ना?
कौन सा? हाँ, सेंटर तो सेम ही रहेगा, सेंटर के लिए प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगा, बट जब वो पुल कर रहे हैं, जो तुम्हारा ग्रेविटेशनल फोर्स का जो फॉर्मूला है ना, जी इज योर gm/r²।
हाँ।
और जब हम उसको डेंसिटी के टर्म्स में रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, जब हम कंसिडर करते हैं कि अर्थ की डेंसिटी यूनिफॉर्म है, जो यूनिफॉर्म नहीं है, बट अगर हम अज्यूम करते हैं कि यूनिफॉर्म है, तो जब तुम नीचे की तरफ जाते हो ना, उस वक्त क्या होता है कि डिस्टेंस भी चेंज हो रहा है, साथ में मास भी चेंज हो रहा है जब तुम अंदर की तरफ जा रहे हो, क्योंकि जब तुम इस पॉइंट पे जाओगे तो नया स्फीयर फॉर्म होगा, जरा और नीचे जाओगे तो और नया स्फीयर फॉर्म होगा। तो जो तुम्हारा ग्रेविटेशन का फॉर्मूला होता है ना, ग्रेविटी वाला gm/r², उसमें मास और रेडियस दोनों चेंज होने के कारण आई कैन नॉट यूज दैट फॉर्मूला। तो उसमें हम क्या करते हैं, मास को रिप्लेस करते हैं डेंसिटी इनटू वॉल्यूम से।
अच्छा।
जब तुम फॉर्मूला रिप्लेस करते हो तो डेंसिटी तो कांस्टेंट रहेगा, वॉल्यूम का फॉर्मूला क्या होता है स्फीयर का, 4/3 πr³।
हाँ।
ओके, जिसमें 4/3 और पाई तो कांस्टेंट है, तो बचा r³ न्यूमरेटर में, और डिनोमिनेटर में होता है r²। तो जिसके कारण एक r बचता है न्यूमरेटर में, जिसका मतलब क्या होता है कि g इज डिपेंडिंग अपॉन r।
हाँ।
तो अगर तुम r को रेड्यूस कर रहे हो तो g की वैल्यू भी रेड्यूस हो रही है, और सेंटर पे जाके r क्या हो जाता है, 0 हो जाता है, रेडियस क्या हो जाएगा, 0। अब ये अजम्पशंस कब लिया गया है कि डेंसिटी यूनिफॉर्म है, बट क्या हमारी डेंसिटी यूनिफॉर्म है अर्थ की? नहीं। और शेप भी क्या परफेक्टली स्फीयर है? नहीं। तो प्रैक्टिकली इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल, इट इज
जस्ट।
तो सब
फिर भी वो हार्मोनिक मोशन क्यों करेगा?
नहीं, हार्मोनिक मोशन क्यों करता है पूरे टनल में? बिकॉज दोनों तरफ ग्रेविटी है ना, इस तरफ भी और बीच में 0 है।
हाँ, बीच में
इज गेटिंग अट्रैक्टेड ऑन बोथ द साइड। तो जब वो नीचे की तरफ आता है तो इनर्शिया के कारण वो आगे चला जाता है, बट इट इज गेटिंग अट्रैक्टेड बैक टुवर्ड्स द सेंटर।
जैसे वो सेंटर में आया तब r 0 हो गया ना, तो मतलब ग्रेविटी 0 हो गई, तो वो
ग्रेविटी 0 हो गई, बट इस तरफ वाली तो फोर्स है ना, दूसरी तरफ वाली।
इस तरफ कौन फोर्स लगा रहा है, मतलब दूसरी बॉडीज?
जब यहाँ से वो पुल होगा तो पुल होने के बाद में उसके पास इनर्शिया ऑफ मोशन होगा ना।
हाँ।
तो इनर्शिया ऑफ मोशन के कारण वो सेंटर को क्रॉस करेगा आगे।
तो वो थोड़ा सा ही करेगा कि पूरा सरफेस पे आ
नहीं,
जाएगा?
पूरा जाएगा, क्योंकि ग्रेविटी जीरो मतलब अभी मोशन तो कंटिन्यू रखेगा ना, जैसे वैक्यूम में चीज होती है। वैक्यूम में अगर एक चीज को तुम पुश करो तो वो तो आगे निकल जाता है ना।
अच्छा अच्छा
हाँ, तो फिर वो आगे निकल जाएगा, और यहाँ पे जाने के बाद वापस से क्या होगा, वो अट्रैक्ट किया जाएगा सेंटर पे।
अच्छा,
दूसरी तरफ
और स्पीड मैक्सिमम तब होगी जब वो सेंटर को जस्ट लीव करेगा।
जस्ट लीव करेगा, बिकॉज इट इज टाइप ऑफ अ पेंडुलम केस। पेंडुलम में भी क्या होता है, मीन पोजीशन पे उसकी वैल्यू जीरो होती है,
हाँ
बराबर, पोटेंशियल एनर्जी जीरो होती है, लेकिन जब वो एक्सट्रीम पे चले जाता है तब वापस से उसको रिस्टोरिंग फोर्स से अंदर की तरफ खींचा जाता है। तो यहाँ पे भी वही होता है, वो जरा आगे मूव करेगा, पर जब वो आगे मूव करेगा तो क्या होगा, जो रिस्टोरिंग फोर्स है ग्रेविटी की, वो वापस से उसको पीछे पुल करेगी, बिकॉज यहाँ पे भी तो ग्रेविटी एक्ट हो रही है टुवर्ड्स द सेंटर।
हाँ। और सर वो इलास्टिक वाला क्या था?
वो इलास्टिक वाला उसने क्या बताया कि सेंटर को अगर मैंने ब्लॉक कर दिया,
हाँ
ओके, अगर मैंने सेंटर को ब्लॉक कर दिया, अगर मैंने सिर्फ इतना सा ही डेप्थ ड्रॉ किया होगा, सो अगर कोई इलास्टिक मीडियम को हिट करोगे, इलास्टिक बॉडी को, तो उसके पास तो कोई मोशन के कारण मोमेंटम होगा। जब वो सरफेस को हिट करेगा तो सरफेस भी क्या करेगा, उसको रिएक्शन फोर्स अप्लाई करेगा। तो उस चेंज इन मोमेंटम के कारण क्या होगा, वो रिबाउंड होगा।
तो वो सॉलिड बॉडी, अच्छा वो ब्रेक हो जाएगी सॉलिड
हाँ,
बॉडी।
तो जितने मोमेंटम से नीचे आया उतने ही मोमेंटम से वो ऊपर चले जाएगा।
अच्छा, और सॉलिड बॉडी में ऐसा क्यों नहीं होगा? क्योंकि वो ब्रेक हो जाएगी।
ब्रेक हो जाएगी, क्योंकि वो उसको जो रिटर्न में इलास्टिक मोमेंटम मिलना चाहिए, अगर वो विथस्टैंड नहीं कर पाएगा तो वहीं पे ब्रेक हो जाएगा।
अच्छा, और सर एक लास्ट डाउट था।
हाँ बोलो।
ये जो आपने अभी डिफरेंशिएट किया था M1 V1 को,
हाँ,
उसमें मास भी तो चेंज हो सकता है ना अगर रॉकेट का केस लें?
हाँ, तो वो है,
तो
इसके बाद वो एप्लीकेशंस दोनों हैं जो हमें करने हैं।
अच्छा ठीक है, दोनों ठीक है।
मतलब इसके बाद एक्चुअली दो एप्लीकेशंस वही हैं जिसमें हम लोग रॉकेट का एक एग्जांपल कंसीडर करें।